and welcome. Tonight, Tribunal affirms Umaru Fintiri as the PDP as the validly elected governor of Adamawa State, dismisses the petition by Aishatu Binani of the APC as lacking in merit. Candidates ramp up their campaigns ahead of the governorship election in Kogi State. APC flag bearer woos voters in Okene as his PDP counterpart storms Kaba town. The federal government officials undertake an inspection tour of the Kaduna Refinery. Group CEO of the NNPC Limited, Melek Yari, says rehabilitation work on the facility will be completed by December 2024. Step up and change the world. Speakers challenge women as they gather in Lagos for the 15th edition of the Rise Women Conference. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu affirms Israel's ground operation ongoing in Gaza, says this marks the second stage of a long and difficult war with Hamas.
And on business news tonight, federal government sets to deploy 11,500 gas-powered buses across the country in November as part of measures to ease transportation challenges in the country.
On sports news tonight, English wonder kid Jude Bellingham scores twice as Real Madrid come from behind to beat Barcelona 2-1 in the El Clasico of the season.
We begin in Adamawa State, where the State Election Petition Tribunal has affirmed the victory of Governor Umaru Fintiri of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, and dismissed the petition of the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Aishatu Binani, for lacking in merit. Senator Binani had filed a petition questioning the decision of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to reject her declaration as winner of the April 15th governorship rerun poll in the state. The now suspended INEC resident electoral commissioner for Adamawa State, Mr. Hudu Ari Yunusa, had declared Mr. Ms. Binani winner of the rerun election while the result was still being collated as a returning officer. The premature declaration prompted INEC to nullify Yunusa Ari's action, eventually concluded the collation and announced Mr. Fintiri as winner of the governorship election. In his reaction, Governor Fintiri asked all to join him in his efforts to take the state to greater heights.
Our 8-point agenda is on course and firing with the required speed and precision. This is a victory for doing more. It is a victory for massive development for Adamawa State. It is a victory for exponential growth of our people. Above all, it is a victory that reaffirms the sovereignty of the will of the people over political blackmanship and an entitlement mentality. It is indeed a victory for democracy and the rule of law. There is time for everything under the sun, a time to strive and a time to unite. Indeed, politics is over. With this ruling, our hands are wide open. I call on all the litigants and everyone that has Adamawa at heart to set aside whatever misgiving and move on. The state is greater than each of us. The task ahead is enormous, requiring unity of purpose, a pooling of resources, integration of talents, and leveraging the unique attributes of each of us to reinvent a better society for our people.
To Kogi State now, where the All Progressives Congress, the APC, has continued its governorship campaign, with its trail making a stopover in Okene today. The APC governorship candidate, Ahmed Adodo, who appears pleased by the performance of the incumbent governor of the state, promises to improve on his achievement. The rally was witnessed by a large number of supporters.
Crowds of supporters at the All Progressives Congress Governorship Campaign in Okene, Kogi State. They displayed their enthusiasm ahead of the election holding on November the 11th. The crowd is a diverse mix of people from all walks of life, from the energetic youth to elders, men and women, all united by a common goal for the APC and its governorship candidate.
APC! APC!
The serving governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, expresses his optimism about the party's chances and outlines his administration's achievements.
Ranging from infrastructure to security, to health, to education, to transparency and accountability and probity, lifting of youth and inclusion of women in governance. Your Excellency, we are taking after you. We have been able to raise leaders.
For the APC governorship candidate, Ahmed Ododo, Kogi State has experienced significant progress, especially in infrastructure, healthcare and security, a legacy he vows to sustain.
This mandate is the mandate for the people. This mandate is a mandate for Kogi United. It's a mandate for the development of our country. And as such, we are coming to build on the legacies of His Excellency Alhaji Bello under the renewed agenda of Mr. President.
With these supporters demonstrating full loyalty to the APC and belief in the party's ability to bring positive change to their state, it's clear that this race will be closely watched by all as election day draws nearer.
Staying in Kogi State, the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, Mr. Dino Melaye, is pleading to residents to forgive him for any offense he has committed during his time in government. He's now promising that he will reconstruct the Kaba-Egbe Expressway in the state within 4 years. The PDP candidate made the plea at his campaign at the zonal rally in Kaba.
It is the turn of Ijumo local government to host the campaign train of the People's Democratic Party as residents welcome the governorship candidate of the party to the community. Mr. Melaye then unveils his plan for the state development.
We have elections coming up. My belief is that no Okuman is a slave, and no Ijumo man is a slave. While I believe in the togetherness of the citizens of Kogi State, while I believe that I'm not an ethnic jingoist, while I believe that I'm not a religious bigot.
The next stop for the PDP campaign team is the Kaba Stadium, where the governorship candidate is received by party supporters. Party leaders make a case for the election of Mr. Dino Melaye as the next governor of the state.
Dino is eminently qualified to be governor of Kogi State. I said it in Alpha when Dino was in the Senate. He was ranked the best performing senator in the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The candidate makes his way to the podium as he appeals for forgiveness, promising to fix the major roads in the state.
Every one of you that I might offended, please forgive me. As our Lord's Prayer says, please forgive me. Our kings, please forgive me.
I promise you, if it means looking for money to do it and get reimbursement from federal government, under 4 years, to the glory of God Almighty, we will do Kaba-Egbe Road.
The candidate is appealing to his supporters not to relent in their effort to campaign for the party ahead of the November 11 election.
And in other political matters, the Lamidia Papa-led group in the Labour Party has congratulated President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on his victory at the Supreme Court. In a statement by the spokesman for the group, Abayomi Arabambi, the LP group says the affirmation of the election of President Tinubu is well-deserved. It slammed the LP presidential candidate Peter Obi, as well as his legal team, for, according to it, presenting the worst election petition ever in Nigeria's history. It, however, congratulated the PDP candidate, Atiku Abubakar, for giving his best interest for this election. And the poor living conditions at internally displaced persons camp in Benue State has been condemned by the Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Mr. Tijani Ahmed. Mr. Ahmed described the humanitarian crisis as sympathetic, pledging to begin the construction of resettlement homes for these IDPs. He stated this at the flag-off of the distribution of food and non-food items to the IDPs in the state.
Armed conflicts and attacks on rural dwellers, especially in the last 6 years, have displaced many in Benue State, with majority of these internally displaced persons living in the most dehumanizing living conditions.
Where are the men? Okay, they want to tell me that each of these tents is for a family.
A visibly worried federal government team from the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons toured some of these camps in Benue State. The team is here with food and non-food items for 200 households taking shelter at the Ishwa IDP camp, where the UNHCR representative and the Benue State government gave overview of the humanitarian crisis in the camps.
The humanitarian challenge confronting Benue State is numerous, considering the alarming number of persons being displaced in Benue as a result of herder-farmer clashes. These situations has led to nearly 2 million Benue persons taking refugees in 21 IDPs camps scattered all over Benue State.
When you look at the shelter that the people here are living in, it's really heartbreaking. If you look at how many people are living in one tent, the family size, in a shelter where you cannot even stand up, you wonder how people can live in safety and dignity. And when you speak to the IDPs here, you clearly understand that people really want to return to their ancestral homes, but this has to be done in safety and dignity, and we have to ensure that they are sustainable.
He also distributes food and non-food items to the IDPs.
As far as the Commission is concerned, we should come back here to ensure that we put smiles in the faces of the IDPs in Benue State. Of course, if you continue in this manner, the government will be overstretched. And that's why the durable solution now comes in. And that is the actions that we're going to take. Already we're on the pipeline. Many states have benefited from that. States like Zamfara, states like Katsina, states like Edo, and the rest of them. I think they have benefited from these durable solutions. And by the grace of God, Benue State will join them soon.
Promises have been made. Many among these displaced citizens hope that the promises will be followed through to the letter and put an end to the misery that have characterized the lives of IDPs in the state in the last 6 years.
In part 2, after the break, federal government to begin the rehabilitation of 11.8-kilometer third mainland bridge in Lagos on November the 1st for a period of 3 months. Please stay with us. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Tribunal affirms Umaru Fintiri of the PDP as the validly elected governor of Adamawa State, dismisses the petition by Aishatu Binani of the APC as lacking in merit. Candidates ramp up their campaigns ahead of the governorship election in Kogi State. APC flag bearer woos voters in Okene as his PDP counterpart storms Kaba town. Federal government officials undertake an inspection tour of the Kaduna Refinery. Group CEO of the NNPC Limited, Melek Yari, says rehabilitation work on the facility will be completed by December 2024. Step up and change the world. Speakers challenge women as they gather in Lagos for the 15th edition of the Arise Women Conference. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirms Israel's ground operation ongoing in Gaza, says it marks the second stage of a long and difficult war with Hamas. Let's head to Kaduna State now, where the Minister of State for Petroleum, Senator Heineken Lokpobiri, and the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Melek Kyari, have inspected the progress of rehabilitation work at the Kaduna Refinery. The 110,000 barrels per day capacity Kaduna Refinery is one of Nigeria's 4 dysfunctional refineries that have produced no petrol for many years, leaving the country to rely heavily on imported petroleum products. The last turnaround maintenance on the Kaduna Refinery was carried out about 15 years ago, and that's according to official sources. They affirmed the delivery date of the refinery to be December 2024.
Where Kaduna Refinery is meant to come from what the brief that we got is meant to be completed by the end of 2024. But like what the GCO said, everything that is required to ensure that, within the work schedule, everything goes on smoothly from what you hear from the GCO is put in place. And me as minister, my own is to hold them accountable, to what they have said. And I'll continue to hold them accountable, continue to support them, work with them to ensure that we deliver to Nigerians at the refineries, which are very, very important for the survival of our economy.
Our plans are in progress. We will deliver this plant by the end of 2024. Every requirement to do this is in place, including process for delivery of feedstock at the end of that deadline. And our contractor have mobilized to site substantially. We have started receiving all necessary equipment that is required for this quick fix activity. And we are very confident that we will have the appropriate financing to get this to the end of it. And ultimately, Kaduna Refinery will restart again and it will deliver value to Nigerians. And I'm assuring the Honorable Minister that this will be delivered just as we're also doing for the other refineries. We do our plan, the quick fix is for 60% of capacity so that we can start making money from this plant, and then we'll continue the rest of the process so that we can bring it to full nameplate capacity, which will also tally with the completion of the BOT on the pipeline so that you have a reliable pipeline delivery infrastructure.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Works, Mr. David Umahi, says the comprehensive rehabilitation of the 11.8-kilometer Third Mainland Bridge in Lagos will begin on November the 1st, and it will last for 3 months. Mr. Umahi said this at the inspection of the underdeck lagoon sections of the bridge, well as the bridges in Lagos. Well, he said the entire stretch of the Third Mainland Bridge will undergo total resurfacing, and with minimal discomfort to road users, and repairs will be carried out by midnight during the weekend.
We intend to mill out all this undesirable coating of the Third Mainland Bridge deck, 4 inches to 12 inches. We mill everything out, and we will now clean it and then relay only 2 inches asphalt on top of the Third Mainland Bridge, and I think a total length of about 11 kilometers, 11.6 kilometers. So with this restricted tendering and CC won that, and we mobilized to start work by 1st of November. We are going to do strategic meeting with the Lagos State government and on how we are going to manage the work. We have a number of problems we have noticed. Let's start with the piling. The piling for these bridges was under skin friction, which means that it was not designed to reach to the rock if we ever find rock. And so there are 2 kinds of piling, skin friction where the earth or the sand is holding the pile, or you have end bearing where the rock has been reached and then is holding the pile. So we discovered that in some locations where sand were dug out, and it has created a kind of a very deep section that the piles are no longer, effectively being held by the skin friction. So it's a very dangerous one, and we are working with consultants and the contractors to agree on desirable method of remedying this. It has a remedy. It might be expensive, but when we compare it to reconstructing the entire bridge again, then something needed to be done very quickly.
Governor Adamawa of Osun State has unveiled a 100 billion naira infrastructural plan for the state. While presenting the plan at the Exco Chambers in the governor's office in Osogbo, the state capital, Governor Adeleke said the project will be executed using local content and without loans. He also says the goal is to address the huge infrastructural deficit in Osun State and fast-track socio-economic development there.
Let me declare here that the infra plan I'm about to unveil is purely state-sponsored without any loan from financial institutions. I must also add that we are hitting the ground running immediately. After this launch, are you listening? We are complying with all procurement laws and due process. Very importantly, our administration is ensuring localization in the implementation process. Local content in terms of sourcing of materials and workforce are key to transfer skills and economically empower our people. In other words, everything that we buy, everything that we do, we're going to get it. We call it local content. We're going to get it here. Because we believe in our people. We have to empower our people. We're not going to go from anywhere and bring people here. They are the ones that will do it. And I believe in them. And I believe they will do a good job. It is my honor to unveil new projects and infrastructure for the state. Rehabilitation of 345 health centers, in the 332 wards in Osun State.
Women across the country today gathered in Lagos for the 15th edition of the Arise Women Conference. The convener of the conference, Dr. Shiju Iluyomade, asked women to use their God-given gifts to establish themselves. The annual event has become a cornerstone for women's empowerment, and this year, attendees are reminded that when they arise, they can truly change the world. From praise to worship, to hymns and prayers. The 15th edition of the Arise Women Conference at the prestigious Trinity Towers of City of David, Victoria Island, Lagos is charged as attendees, mostly women, are eager for a day of empowerment and inspiration. This year's conference, anchored on the theme Step Up, is a pivotal event in the empowerment vision of the convener, Dr. Shiju Iluyomade. For this conference, we want to show the Step Up theme is a call to action, and Dr. Iluyomade, while reflecting on her journey, challenges the women in the room.
Step up is something you need to do daily and with all the resources and expertise and talents that God puts in your place. It's a clarion call for you to be able to go for excellence and nothing less.
The conference also puts the spotlight on 8 young girls who dared to step up. The students of Federal Government Girls College Shagamu in Ogun State showcased their invention, which is a humanoid robot called Okikiola Shagamu. From mental to health talks, women receive insight on how to live better.
For women, it's very important for us to attend a well woman clinic. These clinics are very important for us They help us prevent illnesses, detect illnesses on time, and the welfare, our well-being. So, especially, I'm sure a number of women here are in their old age. You have things like menopausal symptoms, sexual dysfunctions, and different things that women don't talk about. So please, let's fix an appointment with our gynae today and get ourselves checked.
Just being a Nigerian poses you to be at risk of mental health. Let me break it down for you. People just get angry. People are in their cars. They are angry that they are inside AC, but they are angry with the other road users. They are talking to themselves. They are fuming. But again, that is what being a Nigerian is. But the WHO has not recognized that just being a Nigerian is a risk to pose into mental illness. And that is the reason why we have to understand our stressors. What stresses you out?
As the Arise Women Conference 2023 draws to a close, the echoes of Step Up continues to resonate, leaving attendees with a renewed sense of purpose and a commitment to take their lives to new heights. Contractors handling various projects in Benue State for the Northeast Development Commission have been summoned to the headquarters in Maiduguri, the Benue State capital, by the Commission. The decision was made known at the inspection visit by the Commission on the ongoing project sites in Benue State. The chairman of the governing board of the NEDC, retired Major General Paul Tarfa, has also warned its contractors across the northeastern region against compromising standards. Our correspondent Hajara Aliyu reports.
The board and management of the Northeast Development Commission are inspecting projects awarded by the Commission in Benue State. One of the projects is the 300 mass housing units in Dungal village of Benue local government area of the state. The team has issues with the quality of work done by the contractors.
And we are not happy. The management is not happy. The board is not happy with this, what we are seeing here. This is one of the worst we have seen, right? So you just write all the challenges and come up with what we need to do and what you also need to do collectively to make sure that we rectify all the challenges. We are not happy with this project.
The team also inspected the mega school project in the same community. The project is approximately 50% complete.
I think the contractor is working behind schedule.
Why?
So he complained about funding. So we even told him to make it right officially because the contractor is almost over. So maybe we should write to the commission asking for extension of time. Because even the contract is said 6 months, and realistically you cannot finish this work in 6 months.
However, the managing director of the commission, Mr. Goni Alkali, summons them to the headquarters to provide detailed explanation. The other projects inspected include the medical emergency units, which is undergoing finishing touches, and the ongoing ophthalmologist complex at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital. The office accommodation for the staff of the commission in Benue has also reached 40% completion, as the contractors request more time.
Our hope and insistence is that they will finish this job according to the standard given to them. Time will depend on many things. You know, how fast they collect funds from us and how efficient they also are.
During a visit to the Emir's palace, the Emir of Benue, His Royal Highness Alhaji Rilwanu Suleiman, commended the Commission for living up to their mandate and encouraged them to do more. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
From infrastructure to education, MEA Open University has welcomed its pioneer students at the matriculation event held in Lagos and Abuja. The Open Distant Learning Institution boasts of providing an advanced form of learning with the use of technology for its students. The Chancellor of the university and other speakers at that event commended the efforts of the institution in positioning itself to live up to international standards of higher learning.
It's the first matriculation ceremony of MEA University, an open distant learning institution, as it welcomes its pioneering students. The Chancellor of the university, Sim Shagaya, kicks off the event with a charge to the students. He says while the institution celebrates and puts the students first, the learning process will be rigorous.
You know, we have a big deficit in tertiary education. It's over 1 million people who are looking for seats in a university every year and can't find a seat, even though they are qualified. Well over 1 million. Now, the physical universities are trying their best, but physicality cannot meet that level of demand. So, you know, we then sought to build a private open university to global standards.
According to the Vice-Chancellor, the institution boasts of a modern curriculum that will prepare the students for the modern workplace.
We are affordable, we are flexible, and while providing flexibility, we are not going to reduce the quality, and that is most important thing. And then we want to provide what is called personalized learning to our students. And our curriculum has been fused with outcome from research, and that's going to make us a lot different from others.
A member of the Board of Trustees, while congratulating the students, also highlights the benefits the institution offers.
It took me only 3 months of working in Coopers and Libran to know that my understanding of accounting and business was just, should I say, minor leagues. But for you, you don't have to wait 3 years. You are hitting the ground running because of the experience that MEA offers.
The acting executive secretary of the National Universities Commission advises the students to hold their heads high, just as their international contemporaries.
On a day like this, with a game-changing opportunity, such as the one you have in your hands, the Stanford man, the Stanford woman is actually told and is made to believe that he or she will go out there to rule the world. May these debutants, these maiden students of MEA, go out there and conquer the world.
One of the students expresses joy in being a part of the institution, applauding the flexibility it offers.
I love the flexibility, and the way they organize their program is so nice. It's something that even if you're a person that is working, you can easily enroll, and the flexibility is very okay. It's easy to study with them.
As these students begin another phase of their education, they will have to brace up for the challenges in a tech-driven educational institution.
Let's talk about matters that affect the economy. Reactions have continued to trail the recent readmission of 43 items previously banned from accessing Forex at the official window. And this comes as the Naira still faces great pressure due to high demand for dollars and limited supply to the official window. This next report by correspondent Laddie Williams explores the positives and the negatives of lifting of the Forex ban on these 43 items.
The past months have been unpleasant for Africa's largest economy's currency as the Naira hits fresh lows in the official market and a bigger low at the parallel market and rarely talked about crypto P2P market. While the federal government does not recognize the parallel market and the crypto P2P market, the Tinubu-led administration did promise a unified exchange rate.
Unification of the foreign exchange market, fine. Not by any means perfect, but at least substantial more revenues have come in. There are more difficult decisions to be made, no question about it. But the 2 very difficult decisions, painful, they've been taken, and now it is a question of managing things till we get to where we really want to get to.
With the gap between the official and parallel markets growing even wider, this prompted the leadership at the CBN to look for solutions with the readmission of 43 items. But did the previous ban have any effect on the import of the 43 items?
We look at the items, the 43 items, we found out that on the average, we were spending about $4.52 billion on the average in a year, in the period before the restrictions. And during the restriction, we were spending about $1.94 billion on the average. That is about a 57% reduction in terms of our demand.
As the country struggles to get FX inflows, recent data obtained from the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission shows Nigeria's oil earnings increased by over 273.8 billion naira in September 2023, following the rise in crude production to about 1.7 million barrels per day, up from the 1.1 million barrels per day recorded in August. But more data from the CBN points to a stark reality, as the federal government of Nigeria's interest payment on Ways and Means debt to the Central Bank of Nigeria in the first half of 2023 surpassed the revenue it generated from crude oil.
Just to service the Ways and Means interest that the federal government is paying back to the Central Bank of Nigeria for borrowing from the Central Bank of Nigeria is more than $1 trillion. So what that means is that the total revenues due to the federal government from the sale of oil and gas, right, is going to pay the CBN. So the federal government of Nigeria has no revenues from crude oil.
Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces.
In a move to restore confidence, President Tinubu introduced measures to ensure liquidity in the nation's forex market.
It relates to foreign exchange obligations of the government. All the forward contracts that the government has entered into will be honored.
According to the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edu, Nigeria is expecting $10 billion worth of foreign exchange in the relatively near future. And it is hoped that with this expected inflow, the FX market in Nigeria will stabilize. Ladi Williams.
Well, to tell us more about matters affecting the economy, Ladi Williams, I'm sure he has some good news to begin business with.
Thanks, Anne. In business news, the federal government is set to deploy 11,500 compressed natural gas-powered buses across the country from next month as part of measures to ease current transportation challenges in the country. And the project director of the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative, Michael Luagbemi, who made this known in River State, also mentioned that the federal government has already ordered 55,000 conversion kits to ease conversion from petrol-diesel engine vehicles. He also highlighted that the PCNGI will establish the rollout of more conversion centers starting from Lagos to enable thousands of conversions in the next 6 months. And the Minister of Science and Technology, Mr. Uche Naji, has announced that the new maize variety, telemaize, will save the country over $268 million, usually lost due to the effect of fallworms on the crops annually. Explains that the introduction of the improved variety will save foreign exchange and importing over 400,000 metric tons of maize yearly. Mr. Naji stated this during his visit to the demonstration site of the newly introduced variety of the telemaize in Abuja.
The Minister of Science and Technology is at the premises of the National Biotechnological Development Agency to inspect one of the latest innovations developed by the agency to boost food production. 2 varieties of maize are on display at the farm sites. The new variety has a 20% yield hike per hectare, equivalent to an annual economic boom of 48 billion naira. The former comes with less yield and is susceptible to attacks by worms. After the inspection, the minister gives reasons for Nigeria's interest in the latest innovation.
NAFDA is an indispensable driver of innovation, economic development, and sustainability in Nigeria, leveraging the power of biotechnology to address critical national challenges from agricultural productivity to healthcare while opening doors to new industries and global competitiveness. Our mission is also crucial in driving food security in Nigeria, directly impacting on countries' ability to produce and provide sufficient, safe, and nutritious food for our growing population.
The Director General of the National Biotechnological Development Agency highlights some of the innovations deployed by the agency to enhance food production.
Honorable Minister, sir, more biotech crops are on the way, and NAFDA is working hand in hand with other partnering institutions to fast-track Mr. President's food security agenda. And your visit today not only acknowledge our agency's achievement, but also inspires us to redouble our efforts in the pursuit of groundbreaking discoveries, cutting across the field of agriculture, medicine, industry, pharmacy, and environment. Some of the achievements, as you have seen during your tour, includes the development of test kits by medical department, the biodigesters that we have just seen, the Department of Environmental Biotechnology, thermo-resistant yeast and climate-friendly starter yogurt culture are all parts of our achievements in showcasing what we are capable of doing.
The President Bola Tinubu administration recently declared a state of emergency on food security, and these interventions may just be a way into getting it right.
And to the FX market now, trading on the FMDQ exchange ended the fourth week of October positive. The total turnover rose by 44.38% week on week to $420.93 million as of Friday, October the 27th. Highlights of transactions carried out for the week shows that the FX spot market recorded a 42.10% increase to settle at $591.40 million. At the same time, turnover in the FX derivatives segment rose by more than 112%. This was solely driven by activities in FX forwards turnover. Meanwhile, the Naira plunged by 2.1% week on week to 801 Naira 15 kobo against the dollar, and the average Nigerian autonomous foreign exchange fixing at the end of the week. And the domestic bourse ended the fourth trading week of October in the green, despite a subdued start as gains from Girigu and Seplat Energy outweighed losses in MTN Nigeria and some other market heavyweights. As a result, the all-share index climbed by 0.33% week on week, while the market cap closed higher, but below the 37 trillion naira mark. However, the trading activity was mixed as total traded volume increased by 1.6% week on week, while the total value of equities traded dropped by 4%. Sectoral performance was also mixed as the banking, consumer goods, as well as the oil and gas index of the NGX advanced, while the industrial goods and insurance sector declined. Chams Holdings topped a list of 39 gainers, up by 27.52%, while VFD Group led 41 other losers, down nearly 19%, while the trio of Axis Holdings, Fidelity Bank, and UBA were the top three most actively traded stocks for the week. And that's it on Business News. Back to Anne with the rest of News at 10.
Thanks a lot, Ladi. The Child Rights Act of 2003 prescribes fundamental rights of children, including shelter, care, basic education, and protection from abuse. However, in Nigeria, these rights remain a distant dream for many children. Our correspondent, Deborah Agbalama, delves into the world of these street children in Port Harcourt, the River State capital.
Laws exist to provide a legal framework for societal norms. The Child Rights Act stipulates right to life, survival and development, right to family life, right to basic education, right to health care, amongst others. However, for street children, these rights are elusive as they struggle to fend for themselves. Some resort to hard labor, menial jobs, begging and even petty crimes just to survive. According to UNICEF statistics in 2022, 53.9% of children in Nigeria live in abject poverty, burning to families unable to provide for their basic needs. River State mirrors this national crisis with 19.1% of its children living in poverty and 29.8% on the Child Poverty and Deprivation Index. Combing the streets of Port Harcourt, our crew stumbles on this particular set of children whom at a glance one could tell are homeless. They roam the streets searching for their daily bread. We approached to know more about them. At first, they seemed uneasy, but later felt relaxed after we revealed our identity to them. They share their stories on how they came from the neighboring local government areas to Port Harcourt for a better life.
How did you find your way here? It's one Ogoni boy, one short boy, comes to this place. I want to help my parents, but we don't have food at home. I want to go back to school, but I don't like begging.
The They fall within the age range of 11 to 13 years and share similar stories of being born into needy homes and being saddled with the responsibility of having to care for themselves on the streets. This has also exposed them to hard drugs.
But auntie, me, I don't stop because I know say the thing not good. Because the thing they send they suck blood.
They agreed to take us to where they live, but that would be only after a good meal. After the meal, we set out to see their abode. It's the popular Eze Baka Baka market along Transwordy Road, Port Harcourt. By day, it's just a marketplace, but at night it becomes a den for hundreds of homeless people, a mixture of the good, the bad, and the ugly. We get to meet a few more of these destitute children. To know how they sleep at night, we had to revisit. They say the nights could be bad on cold days, and even worse whenever there were cold clashes or violent fights in the neighborhood.
So they chased people away from where people were sleeping yesterday night. So with the rain, why did you not sleep?
On top times, good times.
While there are about 2 welfare centers and 2 rehabilitation homes in River State, the Commissioner of Social Welfare and Rehabilitation, Inime Aguma, insists that the government is actively working to get these children off the streets.
Even when we profile them and send them to school, they don't, eventually in 6 months, they don't want to go to school. That's one. Then number 2, I've said to you, no government institution can take the place of family. It's not possible. Even when we take them in for a while, our vision is to reintegrate them back to their families or to other families that would adopt them.
There are, however, a few other privately run foster homes in River State where some street children have found solace.
While we're playing with them on the street, feeding them, the idea is not just street feeding. It's actually to get to know the children who are willing to embrace change, those who are willing to leave the streets.
As they're living, more are coming in. More are living, more are coming. So some are finished university, some are working, some are married, some are, but currently there are about 500 currently staying.
Despite these efforts, the government is expected to do more for these needy and homeless children to prevent them from drifting towards crime. What is the way forward, as some of them are still willing to go to school or learn a skill?
So the government has a role to play to ensure that all these measures it has put in place to ensure that society goes on well, that people benefit from the society has to. The laws are there. The laws are there, but the laws have to be implemented properly.
At the federal level, the creation of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation and the emergence of a newly established Social Welfare Department within the Ministry of Health should make a major impact with purpose-driven leadership, which may hold promises for improved welfare for these categories of children in Nigeria.
Every child deserves the right to a proper life. Who will be their savior? From Port Harcourt, Deborah Balama, Channels Television News.
Now let's find out what's happening in the world of sports, and Victor Matthias is in our Abuja studio. Hello, Victor.
Hello and welcome to Abuja, where we begin in the English Premier League, where Brentford held on for their 3rd win of the season as goals from Ethan Pinnock and Brian Mbemo gave Thomas Franks' side a well-deserved 2-0 victory over Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Arsenal hammered Sheffield United 5-0, courtesy of goals from Fabio Vieira, Takehiro Tomiyasu, and a hat-trick from Eddie Nketiah. Philip Billings' stunning second-half strike helped Bournemouth claim their 1st win of the season against fellow strugglers Burnley. In the last game of the day, Wolverhampton Wanderers came from behind twice to earn a 2-2 draw with Newcastle at the Molineux Stadium. Meanwhile, in the Spanish La Liga, Jude Bellingham scored twice as Real Madrid fought back from a goal down to beat Barcelona 2-1 in the first El Clasico of the season. Barcelona made the perfect start with midfielder Ilkay Gundogan opening the scoring from close range in the 6th minute by taking advantage of a bad defensive mistake by the visitors. However, Barcelona, who hit the woodwork twice, were punished for failing to convert their chances into goals, as Bellingham made the most of the 2 chances he had in the second half. Meanwhile, results trickling in from the Rugby World Cup says South Africa have beaten New Zealand to win the Rugby World Cup. Now, this victory means South Africa are now outright the most successful team in Rugby World Cup history with 4 tournament wins. The Springboks retained the Webb Ellis Cup after a thrilling 12-11 win over the All Blacks in the final at the Stade de France in Paris. It means back-to-back wins for South Africa, who triumphed over England in the 2019 final in Japan. Of course, congratulations to South Africa, but that's it on sports news. It's back to Anne with the rest of the news at 10 in Lagos.
Thanks a lot, Victor. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has confirmed Israel's ground operation in Gaza, saying it marks the 2nd stage of what he describes as a long and difficult war with Hamas. In an address, the Israeli leader notes that the commanders have been deployed all over the Gaza Strip, and this is coming as heavy bombing continues, with leaflets dropped over Gaza City, warning residents of the area that the area is now a battlefield. Israel's Air Force hit 150 underground targets overnight, striking what it describes as terror tunnels. And a fire in a mine in Kazakhstan, owned by steel giant ArcelorMittal, has killed over 30 people. The incident occurred in the Kosenko facility hours after Kazakh President Kassym Jomart Tokayev ordered investments in the company to be halted as it can be nationalized. 23 other workers at the mine at the time of the fire are still missing. And the main news again. The Adamawa Governorship Election Petition Tribunal today affirmed Umaru Fintiri of the PDP as a validly elected governor of the state, just as the court also dismissed the petition of Aishatu Binani of the APC as lacking in merit. Governorship candidate of the APC, Usman Ododo, is taking his campaign to Okene axis of Kogi State, while his PDP counterpart, Dino Melaye, stormed Kapa Town in continuation of his engagement with voters ahead of the November 11 elections. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Have a wonderful night.